On May 1st, 2023, a Las Vegas police officer was on duty speaking to a civilian when their body camera captured this. Some would say it's just a shooting star or it was an asteroid being burned up as it entered our atmosphere, but this 911 call would change everything.
They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes.
The caller describes how he was in his backyard around midnight working on his truck with his brother when all of a sudden he heard something falling from the sky. There was a big light that was tumbling out of the sky. Shortly afterwards there was an almighty impact and a loud bang. The impact was like a shockwave, almost knocking him off his feet. Nearby ring footage captured the moment the flash occurred as well as the loud bang. Take a listen. The two most important questions of life are rather simple. What happens after we die, and are we alone in the universe? One answer is inaccessible and we will never know, but the other question might have already been answered. The debate of whether we are the only thing in the universe has been around for decades, as well as the stories passed down through generations of alien believers, with bits and pieces of evidence emerging from people that managed to document about our potential neighbor in the galaxy. Some evidence being more convincing than others. However, we haven't had any concrete evidence. We have the sporadic sighting here and there, including a whistleblower every once in a while. Ever since the pandemic, the United States has been strategically leaking videos and evidence they have acquired regarding alien species that have seemingly flown under the radar. Most of the footage has come from fighter jet pilots clocking an object flying through the air at such speeds they are unable to identify what it is or where it went. At times, these UFOs have even been reported to have gone into the ocean to escape being spotted. One whistleblower made waves back in June of 2019 when he appeared on Joe Rogan's famous podcast. His name was Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was a self-proclaimed physicist who was hired in the late 1980s to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. As he stated that one of these UFOs were found during an archaeological dig, supporting the theory that these aliens have had access to technology long before we have. Bob had even been inside one of these crafts and specifically asked to figure out how it works. His description of the inside of the ship is mind-boggling. Take a listen.
First of all, everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color. There are no right angles anywhere. Like there's nothing else in there. There's just seats, the reactor, and some of the subcomponents. There's no control panels. There's no bathroom. There's no decorative components or artwork or anything that you would recognize. Everything was really unworldly.
Another profound claim was that after he began to tell people his story and even show people the UFOs in action and what the United States had access to as far as these UFOs and aliens, the government attempted to erase Bob's credibility and even his existence. They even went as far as deleting his birth certificate, deleting his history of academic education, and deleting his employment history, trying to say that he never worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, essentially relegating him to a crazy old man that quote-unquote believes in UFOs and quote-unquote claims to have worked at Area 51. Within 3 years post his interview with Joe Rogan, another whistleblower, First Intelligence Officer David Grush, has began to tell his inside information regarding the United States military and what they have access to, including aliens, ships, and everything that significantly backs up everything Bob Lazar has said. Nowadays, with everyone having cameras on their phones and the power of the internet, these stories can spread like wildfire. A recent story has emerged, and for the first time in a long time, has multiple witnesses and multiple pieces of evidence surrounding the same event. His statements were profound. He stated that they had as many as 9 of these UFOs, all differing in shape, size, design, and even age. On May 1st, 2023, a Las Vegas police officer was on duty speaking to a civilian when their body camera captured this. Some would say it's just a shooting star or it was an asteroid being burned up as it entered our atmosphere, but this 911 call would change everything.
They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes.
The caller describes how he was in his backyard around midnight working on his truck with his brother when all of a sudden he heard something falling from the sky. There was a big light that was tumbling out of the sky. Shortly afterwards, there was an almighty impact and a loud bang. The impact was like a shockwave, almost knocking him off his feet. Nearby ring footage captured the moment the flash occurred, as well as the loud bang. Take a listen. Caller states that after the impact of whatever just fell out of the sky, he tried to look at the object and it was blurry. He states that his vision wasn't blurry, but the object was blurry. He says at this point he hears thousands of footsteps around him, and then all of a sudden the blurriness was gone. At this point the caller is looking straight at a tall creature that was about 8 to 10 feet tall and very thin. He proceeded to call his dad outside, who saw the same creature and commanded that they get inside the house. Unsure of what he just saw, and he and his family were freaking out about the possibility that something from outer space just landed in their backyard. At one point, the family decided to investigate the backyard together to see what was back there. The caller states that in this video you can see the creature behind the forklift. What can you see? Can you translate what they are saying?
¡Ay! ¡Profesor! Calmungarela, me calcines variso. Kylo, cherro, que chilica. Kylo, cherro.
A short time later, he and his brother decided to go back into the backyard to retrieve his tools, when his brother calls out to him and says shakingly, "Look behind the forklift." He looks at the forklift to see the alien creature again, but more clearly, and looking directly at him. He states that it was very tall, very thin, and gray, a greenish color. He looked at the creature directly in the eyes and his body froze. In his own words, the same experience as having sleep paralysis. The caller was able to look at the creature from head to toe and states it had weird-looking feet, a big face, and a big mouth. He could hear the creature's loud, deep breathing despite being feet away from it, and see his stomach moving with each breath. Seconds after staring at the creature, he was able to move again. This is when the caller decides to start running towards the house to call 911. And here is that call.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and it's looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
While waiting for police inside the house, the witness claims to have heard footsteps in the backyard as well as on the roof, while simultaneously hearing loud whispering. When police arrived, he described to them what he saw, and understandably the police were shook by what he just said. Upon investigation by the officers into the caller's backyard, one of the officers pointed to and noticed a perfect circle on the ground. One officer decided to go out into the neighborhood to ask passerbys and neighbors if they had seen anything fall out of the sky. When speaking with the caller, the officer said she believed him because her partner had seen something fall out of the sky as well and actually captured it on body cam footage. After she heard about what he saw, the officer had goosebumps and was freaked out. The officer returned to speak with the family after asking around the neighborhood and said this.
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your back?
The witness stated that the officer said if you see the creature again, to not call us, but just shoot it. This is where things get interesting. After the police left and the investigation into the call was conducted, the caller states him and his family went back inside to pray, and upon praying they heard a loud human-like scream in the backyard. So, if there was no creature when the police were there, where did the scream come from? Did the creature move on to another house? Do you believe that this witness made contact with an alien that night? What are your thoughts on this bizarre situation?